Alvin Independent School District had nothing to say for themselves until her story went viral.
Fair warning, this is going to talk about SA that involves special needs children. So
first, the victim's family has elected to call her Janie in order to protect her identity.
After they say their special needs daughter was raped in the bathroom of her school.
Yes, this assault happened in November. At first, they say Alvin ISD acknowledged that it was an assault, but has since changed their tune.
She says after school administrators called her, she took Janie to an emergency room for a nurse to examine her.
She said there is bruising. There's tearing. There was an audible witness who heard her saying, "No, stop, help." And they said because she walked down the hallway, that's consent.
Tells me this young woman is now seeing a counselor. They worry that she'll never be the same.
Janie Doe's mother says she was told by the principal that the male student was suspended for 3 days.
But a spokesperson for Alvin ISD told KPRC2 the district followed protocol. Quote, the district vehemently denies that its staff improperly responded to the allegations.
Won't tell me his name.
They're protecting him.
It's my youngest. And she was completely innocent.
We want the negligent staff terminated.
No child should have to worry about being sexually assaulted or sexually touched in a place of education. Period.
Stones at me, and I won't feel anything. It's not right in my head. I try to fight and do it right, but it's hard to get through the night. Help me get out of this mess.
You're listening to Disinfecting Sunlight with Paul Vasquez. And now here's Paul.
37 years on this earth, I almost never imagined that a loved one of mine would go missing. But if I allowed my dark thoughts to take me there, I always took comfort in knowing that there are so many volunteer organizations, city and county services in the Houston metro area that, God forbid, that moment ever came, folks would rush in to assist in bringing my family member home. Well, this year, in April 2021, my 19-year-old nephew went missing in the city of Houston while wearing a probation ankle monitor. No one, not an officer of HPD, not his probation officer, or any well-known search and rescue organization would help locate him. Texas EchoSearch denied to assist us, not once, but twice. We even talked to the owner. Police didn't take us seriously until we took to the streets interviewing people and got several eyewitnesses that saw my nephew murdered. The only organization that believed us from day one and fought beside us in the trenches was First Priority Search and Recovery. Sean, Jason, and the rest of the gang have become family members to us. I pray your family never knows this pain, but I trust that if you do and you need help locating your loved one, that First Priority Search and Recovery will treat your family member like their life matters. Believe it when I tell you that bringing families back together is their first priority. And if you need them, you can visit their website. It's first, that's the number one, ST, priority, SAR, as in search and recovery.org, or you can give them a call at 979-645-1177. Again, that's 979-645-1177. First Priority Search and Recovery. Thank you. When Houstonians need real, unedited, and unfiltered reporting about what's going on in their city and in their neighborhoods, they don't bother with the mainstream media. They always have an agenda. Instead, Bayou City residents turn to the one and only Grizzy Castillo over at Grizzy's Hood News on Facebook. With her dedicated and interactive community, she helps give stories too often overlooked by the big networks the spotlight they rightly deserve, and sometimes even changes lives in the process. Check her out at facebook.com/Grizzy's Hood News. That's GRIZZYS Hood News, and Grizzy's Hood News exclusive. Facebook.com/Grizzy's Hood News. All right, audience, it's been a minute. I've got Janie, sister of the Justice for Janie movement. If you're following me on TikTok, which you should be, you'll know all about the Justice for Janie movement. So we're going to just kind of, this is very spur of the moment, audience. I'm sorry, not sorry, because I've been wanting to tell her story.
my place is a mess, so I'm just trying to like skirt around the mess. But yeah, I don't clean up for TikTok and I don't clean up for my podcast either. Thank you, Janie's sister, for being here. Now, again, very spur of the moment. It just so happens to be my birthday. But happy birthday to me. It's been an interesting day. But let's dive in. So tell us, how much older are you than Janie?
I am 9 years older than her, almost to the day.
Oh, wow. So very much a big sister. Very much.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the oldest?
I am. Yeah.
And do you remember the day she was born?
I do. I was at my grandma's house, and I remember telling my mom that she was not allowed to have her on my birthday. I was adamant about that. I was not going to share a birthday. Yeah. And then she was born 3 days later. So I was like, this is perfect.
And did y'all, forgive me, I don't know the best way to say this, but when did you notice that she had special needs?
So when she was born, she swallowed some meconium and she had trouble breathing. And even though she was full term, she had to go into the NICU. And then she had delayed speech. She had delayed gross motor skills. So pretty much from the time she was a toddler.
And how did that affect your relationship with her growing up?
I think it made me a lot more protective over her. I wasn't going to let anyone bully her ever.
Absolutely. Was there ever any jealousy there? Because as I say that, I've seen in certain families that, you know, some folks with special needs tend to need more care, need more attention. Was there ever any of that kind of sibling rivalry where obviously you love her, but you were a little bitter that she got more time?
Not really, because I was already the oldest out of 3 when she was born. So I was used to sharing my parents.
So what was your home life like? Because you're the oldest out of 3, and so Janie's the youngest.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, is there 3 total or 4 total?
4.
4 total. Okay. So a big house. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I imagine noisy, rambunctious. You're kind of the sub matriarch.
Yeah. Busy.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Busy
Now,
always.
How did your other siblings relate to Janie growing up?
They were pretty much the same way. They were really protective over her. You know, she was the baby. She was the cute little sister. The one we all kind of wanted to protect, you know. If she had a bully in school, then my brother would teach her how to fight, or, you know, if it was someone that was bullying her in public, me or one of my other siblings would jump in and be like, absolutely not. You could come and talk to me instead.
Okay, don't start crying yet, Paul. Shit, we just got started. And by the way, we can cuss on here. We don't have to use TikTok language here. We're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say. I can always bleep it for TikTok later. But just feel free, go balls to the wall. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
That's just how I live. But
I have the mouth of a sailor. So
girl, I'm from Houston. Okay, and so was this always in Alvin? Did you grow up in Alvin?
We moved here when I was 10, so she was about a year old whenever we moved out here. We were from Southeast Houston.
Okay.
Before we moved here.
And okay, girl, that's a big difference in terms of culture and politics and everything.
Huge difference. And Alvin was like half the size then that it is now. So I was like, we live in the middle of nowhere. What are we doing here?
Okay, so what was your moving process like in terms of mentally getting accustomed to, because it's, for the audience that doesn't know, that's going from suburban Houston, going from the city of Houston, which is one of the most diverse cities in the country, to going to BFE, as we call this out, Buttfuck Egypt, middle of nowhere, Redneckville. Very, very different.
It was weird. People here are very different than they are. I was from the Edgebrook area.
Okay. Oh,
so
hey,
completely
that side of town.
Yeah, completely different worlds.
Very diverse.
Yeah. everybody was in each other's business a little more here because nobody had anything to do.
Yeah.
So
now, how did Janie relate growing up there? Like, did she have bullies? Did she have trouble with other folks? Sorry, I'm having an issue with my chair.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, she did have bullies. There was an incident I can think of in particular when she was in elementary school. These 4 little punk ass kids cornered her at recess and tried to force her to eat a bug. And just because she was different, just because she was disabled. And luckily, there was a girl, and I don't remember what her name is. I wish I did. But she stood up for her. She was actually in martial arts, and she said, if you want to pick on someone, you can pick on me. And at first they didn't take her seriously. And then she got in like her stance or whatever. And they were like, oh, okay, we're good. We'll leave her alone.
I love little Cobra Kai there. I'm loving it.
Yeah. And I mean, even adults here, there were adults that would pick on her because she was different.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Also, can you think of a specific time?
I remember we were at McDonald's one time, and she was a little bit older. I was a little bit older. I was a teenager at this point. And, but we were at McDonald's, and she was following this kid around because all she wanted was for him to be her friend. And the mom got really annoyed that she was following her son around and started talking crap and used the R word.
Oh my God.
And that word has never flown with me. I hate that word. And I was ready to fight her. I was like, you know what? Let's take this outside and I'll beat your ass.
Right.
You're not going to pick on her. All she's trying to do is be friends with your son. And she's not hurting him. She's not hitting him. She's not attacking him. There's no reason for you to act like this. You're a grown-ass woman.
So would you say that one of the ways in which her, I don't like saying disability, that's just me, but just her special qualities, just one of the ways in which it manifested was just like loving others, like wanting to be someone's friend in a way that like a child who hasn't been deconditioned or conditioned by the world to see other people's as like enemies or any kind of distance. Would you say one of the ways in which Janie is that she just loves and wants to be friends with everyone? Does that sound?
She loved and wanted to be friends with everyone. All she wanted was for other kids to like her and play with her. That was it.
Girl,
She didn't see the bad in people, you know?
And I find for some folks with Janie's special qualities that, like my aunt has special needs. And now she's ultimately married and has children, but she still has special needs. And she's very much still like that too. She's like, there's very much an innocent like quality to some folks with special needs that I see. And it's the thing we as jaded adults tend to lose, even like early into adolescence, we lose that ability to just see each other as friends or even family. It's like the world starts dividing us and we go along with it because we're conditioned to do so. And at least in my experience, and it sounds like in Janie's, they don't have that. Like, it's just, their brains don't change in that regard. It's just like love is love is love.
Yep. There isn't, the biases and you're part of this clique at school or that clique at school. Everybody was a friend. Everybody could be her friend. Anybody that accepted her and just treated her as a person, was a friend to her.
It's beautiful. Now, aside from having said that, can you think of any times growing up where you were just like in total amazement by her quality? Because I've also seen that too. Because they're not conditioned, and I don't like saying they as if I'm different, but folks aren't conditioned sometimes to lose that innocent quality. It can often show up as like woe to the people that, are like us, jaded adults.
So like times that I was impressed by her disability?
Yeah, when she just like amazed you with how loving or how open or how just special she is.
Hold on one second. Zach, I'm on the phone, baby. I love you too.
Y'all, just kid moments. Don't worry.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Really, it would be just everything that we talked about. The way that she was just able to make friends with anybody that gave her the time of day. I've always considered myself pretty good at talking to everyone, but she takes it to a whole other level. It doesn't matter rich, poor. It could be the most redneck person on earth or the most alternative person on earth. She doesn't judge them for that. And it's really impressive because a lot of people aren't like that. They take a look at you and, if you have piercings or tattoos or whatever you have going on, and they make a judgment. And she's never done that.
Audience, I need you to hear that she looks at the world through the lens of a child. Like, say, when you were like 5 or 6, what was her brain capacity? Like the 6-year-old, I believe?
Yeah, it's like a 6 to maybe an 8-year-old.
Max. Okay. So,
Yeah.
audience, think of what you were like as a 6-year-old. Even me, having gone through the traumas that I went through, I still believed in things that being an adult has conditioned to take away from me, like the Easter Bunny, Christmas, just being like this, it's hard to explain, but just being its own magical world, just looking forward to things like that, believing in the Easter Bunny, believing in Santa Claus, believing in this childlike world that most adults don't believe in anymore. Well, namely because it doesn't exist, but because children just have that innocence about them, and it sounds to me like Janie never lost that. Until the day she did.
Until the day she did.
Whew. Now, paint us a picture, and if we need to take a break or if it's too much, just let me know. Just hold your hand up or whatever. You're not going to offend me. If there are parts of this day you don't want to relive, I don't blame you at all. We can stop. But I'm going to go for the questions just to paint a good picture, because I really want people to, the motivation for doing this interview is for the people that are watching this to literally put themselves in your shoes, or figuratively put themselves in your shoes, and know what it feels like, even if they don't have anyone with special needs in their family, to look at Janie and say, that could easily be my sister, my cousin, whatever. So I'm just going to go as far as possible without, overstepping any bounds. So paint me a picture of that day. How did it begin for you? When did you find out what happened? And just kind of go minute by minute, if you will.
So I was actually at home with my son. It was a Friday, so it was a school day, but he was sick with a stomach bug and a fever. So I kept him home, and we were watching TV, and everything was normal. I had clothes in the washing machine, regular stay-at-home mom type of stuff.
Okay.
And then I got a phone call from my mom. And, I was figuring she was asking me, or she would ask me, do you want to go shopping, or do you want to get something to eat, or something along those lines? And when I picked up the phone, she was hysterical. I mean, sobbing, screaming. And she's like, I need you to come with me. Janie was molested. Because at the time, she didn't know the details of what had happened. And all I could say is, what? And she said, she was molested. I need you to come with me to the school.
Now, what's going on? What's happening in your head when you're hearing this?
When I'm in a situation like that, I go into action. It's like my body just goes before I can think.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'm taking my son over to my friend's house real quick. I'm throwing on shoes, and I'm there. And so I got my son dressed, ran him over to my friend's house, and was outside when my mom got here. And we got to the school.
Now, how did mom find
out? She found out, so she was at home too. She had just gotten home from the gym not that long before this happened. And a police officer called her from the high school. And she picked up because she saw the high school. She thought, maybe she needs a change of clothes or something. She spilled something on her clothes. And the police officer said, "Hi, I'm Erin Osmus. I'm a police officer at Alvin High School. And I'm with your daughter in the nurse's office." And she said, "Okay." And in her head, she's like, this is weird. Why is a police officer calling me about my daughter? And he said, "We have your daughter in the nurse's office. We believe that she's been sexually assaulted." And she said, "What?" And he repeated himself. And she asked him like 4 times because she just couldn't believe that this happened at school. This is the last place that she would have expected this to happen. And then after she got off the phone with him is when she called me and came to pick me up. When we got to the school, the police officer was there, the principal was there, and there was another police officer, Officer Trevino. And they took us back into the principal's office. And, of course, we had a million questions. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Where is she? Where is the boy? And she's screaming, and they're like, "We're going to answer all your questions. Just sit down. She's okay. She's been looked at by the nurse."
Okay, wait. Sorry. So I just want to make it clear for the audience. So the nurse had already examined Janie before y'all got there.
Yes, and we don't have details on what that examination consisted of. We don't know if the nurse just looked at her, like gave her a visual examination to see if there was anything that needed, 911 to be called, or if it was a more detailed examination where she was looking for marks or anything like that.
So, but
they didn't tell.
But the nurse the one that told you she's okay?
No, these are the police officers.
Okay, police officers. Okay, so
the nurse was still in the nurse's office with her.
And have the police officers interrogated her or interviewed her in any?
Yes, they had interrogated her. It was over an hour from the time that this happened to the time that they finally got around to calling my mom.
Okay, I just want to confirm for the audience. So an hour after Janie was raped is when y'all got word.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom got word.
Mm-hmm.
So she spent time with her rapist, the nurse, and a cop
mm-hmm.
for an hour before anyone deemed it appropriate
to contact my mom.
Contact
after one of the worst experiences that anyone could ever go through.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure the audience. So these are the black and white facts. Like, there's no speculation here. There's no Alvin High School going to put out a notice stating that this is.
They've literally admitted to it.
Yeah, I know.
On paper.
Yeah, I'm going to post that at the end of this. I'll likely be reading it. But I just want to put that out because these are the parts of this that baffle me. And now I can only imagine how you. Well, no, I don't have to imagine how you feel. I'm a medium and empath. I can tell you how you feel. But why you would still be furious and upset? Like, just these pieces of it. This is what I want, what I need, what I think you need as well. I need the audience to latch on to. We have how old was she at the time? 18, 17?
She was 18.
She was 18 with the mind of a 6-year-old-ish, 6 to 8-year-old, a mind of a child, a little girl. She's mentally a little girl in the body of a woman, of a young woman, barely an adult woman, but she's mentally a child. And if you're watching on the YouTube, you're going to see me point to my head because she's mentally a child. Dreamlike, innocent, still believes in the tooth fairy, a child. She's a child.
Had no idea what sex even was.
Yes. Sorry, I'm getting worked up, but that's okay. She's a child, y'all. She literally, and we'll get to what actually happened physically, but I just need y'all to hear that she just went through it physically abusive ordeal, a mentally and emotionally abusive ordeal of which she was not prepared for in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And for an hour, which must have felt like a day for her, if not longer, she's had to sit with someone she doesn't even know. I mean, because the nurse is a stranger. After, her body has been violated,
Mm-hmm.
and she's trying to process all this. And I imagine all she wants is her mom.
And the thing is, they didn't even take us to her immediately. Like I said, they took us to the principal's office, and immediately they started looking for a reason to blame her.
Of course.
They said, okay, well, we're going to need access to her social media accounts. And my mom said, she doesn't have social media. She is like a child. There's no reason for her to be on social media. And they said, oh, okay, well, then we have her phone with us. We're going to need you to unlock her phone and see if there's been any texts or back and forth between these two students to see. And, they didn't say it at the time, but they were looking for a way. I 100% believe that they were looking for a way to make it.
I'm going to second that, because Alvin ISD, you have no reason or right to check this young woman's phone. Even if she didn't have special needs, there would be no reason.
We were both so distraught that thought didn't even cross our mind, So I unlocked her phone for them, and all of her texts were to family, and they were just emojis because she can't read or write like another adult at her age can. Unicorn emojis and smiley face emojis and little hearts and stuff like that.
Now, would you say the phone was mainly for emergencies?
It was for emergencies and for her to keep in touch with family. And she doesn't even have anyone's phone number that isn't family.
Okay. What they were looking for, they did not find.
They didn't find anything because she didn't have this boy's number. She didn't talk to this boy. She had never gone anywhere with this boy prior to this. But we asked them, what happened to her? And they said, oh, well, we can't tell you that because there's an investigation going on.
You can't tell me what happened to my sister or my daughter?
Yep. We can't tell you that because there's an investigation going on. And
okay, I just got to get in your head for a minute. Or just put myself in that situation. Okay, so you can't tell me why I'm here. You just called me and you said that my daughter may have been sexually assaulted. And that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, audience, do you understand why she's frustrated? Because I do.
I was pissed.
I mean.
And so we're like, no, we need to know what happened. Was she raped? Was she molested? What happened? And they said, well, we believe there was penetration. And
what
they
would
told
lead
us
them
that
to believe that without getting too graphic, but they would have had to have physically.
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't, unless the boy admitted to. I'm trying to, without getting too graphic.
They did tell us that he admitted to. They didn't tell us what he admitted to exactly, but they did say he admitted to doing something to her.
Okay. Which they later admitted to in the sham email blast that they sent out, which I will read after the show's over, where they completely contradict themselves several times.
And so they take us into this room after we're finished talking to them. And it's kind of like a meeting room. It just had a table and a bunch of chairs. And they have us sit there and wait. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And I want to say it was a couple hours because by the time we finally got to my sister, the school day was over. And while we were waiting, we actually saw the head of the SPED department, the special ed department, walk into the principal's office. And my mom had been telling her for weeks, months, that one of these kids was going to get hurt. The teacher wasn't doing his job. The paraprofessionals were walking all over him. Instead of going out to the bus stop, the bus unloading area to get the kids in the morning, the teachers and the paraprofessionals were sitting in the classroom on their cell phones, texting, checking Facebook, posting pictures. And she had told her this, someone's going to get hurt. They're not doing their job.
Do you think your mom was picking up on something? Do you think your mom's kind of intuitive that way?
I think so. And I mean, they were making it obvious. They did not care. They saw a new teacher and realized that they could walk all over him, and they took full advantage of that because they don't care about the kids.
And y'all, she doesn't say that lightly, y'all. Their behavior tells me they don't care about the kids. They literally spoke at the school board meeting yesterday, which will be posted on this episode as well. And as soon as they were done, there was no feedback. There was nothing. It was literally, okay, let's move on to our technology presentation.
Mm-hmm.
As if they weren't even there.
The superintendent wouldn't even make eye contact.
I mean, I'm not surprised, having spoken at city council several times in Houston, when it comes to callous, cruel, neglectful behavior, nothing surprises me anymore, but it still pisses me the F off. But the fact that they didn't even say, you know what, my heart breaks with you. I wish there was something more we could do. I'm sorry this didn't go the way you wanted to. I mean, say something. You're lying. You're full of it. Nothing.
Nope.
One of my favorite quotes is from a Holocaust survivor, and I don't mean to trivialize the Holocaust, y'all. I don't. But one of my favorite quotes is from Elie Wiesel, and he says, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. This is indifference, like pure indifference.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm on a rant. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Keep telling us what happened.
So we see her go into the principal's office, and my mom was furious because she warned her, and she had brushed her off. The special ed department head had brushed her off so many times. She had said, oh no, the paras love the kids. They're great at their job. They would die for these kids. They're going to protect them no matter what. And my mom goes in there and she goes into the doorway and says, I told you this was going to happen. I told you this was going to happen. And you didn't listen to me. I told you. And I walked in there and I said, this is your fault. And I started walking up to her, and the principal walked in between me and her and said, okay, well, that's enough. And then closed the door on us. So we went back into the meeting room and waited and waited and waited. And then finally, the police officers, they picked the ER that we went to. But the police officers come in, they take us to the nurse's office. We're able to go and finally see her. And, of course, we have to put on the brave face, the everything's okay face. We're going to get you checked out, and, it's all okay. So the police officers, it was Awesomus, Trevino, and then a third police officer had come as well, Officer Martin. They all went to the ER that we went to.
Any females?
Yes, one female officer who was actually involved in the 2011 case of the disabled girl that was raped in 2011.
Oh, for the audience that doesn't know, and in case in pre-production or post-production I haven't mentioned that already, this is not the first time it's happened at that school. Not the first time a family has gone through this ordeal. Have you spoken with that family at all? Have you been able to reach out to them?
No, they were completely anonymous, and only one local news website picked it up. I think it was Galveston Court News or something like that. They were the only ones that picked it up. So we haven't had any way to reach out to them, or
I might have a campaign for y'all after this is up, or after we get done here. It might behoove all of us, me as an influencer and y'all going through this, to put out TikToks requesting that they contact you. I'm interested in seeing the parallels between these two cases.
Yeah. But we haven't had any way to contact them. I wish that we could, just because we know what they're going through. But we get to the ER and we had no idea what to expect. We're told that we have to wait for a SANE nurse, which is a sexual assault nurse examiner. There's only a few of them, and they don't work for a specific hospital. They just kind of go where they're needed. And the one that we were waiting for was a couple hours away doing another case. And so while we were waiting, we're in the ER room with her, and she says, I'm sorry that I let this happen to me. I'm sorry that I was bad. I won't let this happen. I won't let this happen again. And we've never told her that she was bad. What did those police officers say when they were interrogating her? So, sorry, I got a little choked up there for a second.
I kind of want to dive into that if you're okay.
Yeah.
What are you feeling when you're hearing this? What's the feeling?
Devastated.
Oof.
Because for her to blame herself for this wasn't her fault. This was the rapist's fault. And this was the negligent staff at Alvin High School's fault, her teacher and her paraprofessionals.
And Alvin High School, if you're watching this, because I'm sure you will, without a doubt, it is your fault. I don't know how you sleep at night. I truly don't. And if you want to sue me, please, I'd love to take this into a court of law.
Mm-hmm. Let's put it on the record.
Baby. Anywho, moving on. Sorry, I had to get on my little soapbox for a minute.
It's okay.
But thank you for sharing that with you. I also needed a little comic relief for you because I can feel you as an empath.
Yeah.
You put on a very, very strong front, but I can feel your heartbreak. And how you wish you could just turn back the clock for her. And it's not
bear that for her.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, well, no one should have to bear it. Like, truly, it should not have happened.
It shouldn't have happened.
They've done their effing job. Oh, tell us about the bathroom. The bathroom was broken. There's a special needs bathroom.
Yes. So there is a special needs bathroom that is meant just for the kids in these special ed classes. It had been broken.
Is it like a one-person bathroom, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the mainstream kids have no access to that bathroom, or at least they're not supposed to. Who knows with how Alvin High School runs things. But it had been broken for several days. So the kids were having to use the mainstream bathrooms. And come to find out later on, apparently this was not the first time that they had done that. They had let the special needs kids go to the mainstream bathroom by themselves before.
So policy dictates that a professional or a faculty member accompanies them to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. There was no reason for her to be by themselves. The paraprofessionals were supposed to escort them everywhere. They escort them to lunch. They escort them to the extracurricular classes that they take. So if they're in art, choir, dance, whatever their schedule is, they escort them. They were supposed to be with them. And that's for their protection. And to help the kids that need the extra help.
Well, not just for their protection. I would just add this. It's also for the school's liability, because God forbid something like this should happen. Another child gets, inappropriate, and a lawsuit is filed. Hey, no, we did the best we could. This is to avoid. I mean, whoever is running Alvin High School, what the hell are you smoking? Like, I don't understand why a lawyer wouldn't rip this to shreds in court. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. But
I feel like my pets could do a better job running this high school.
Look, hang on. Here's the new principal of Alvin High School. He'll do a much better job.
He'll do a much better job and care about the students much more.
He would. He might eat all their food, but yes, he would. I'm sorry for those that are just listening on audio. I just showed a picture of Dobby.
But they they were supposed to escort them to the cafeteria, and this is actually a little flashback. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Scatterbrained. This little flashback to earlier on that year, my sister had actually had an accident in the cafeteria because the paraprofessionals weren't where she could see them, and she needed to go to the restroom and didn't know where the restroom was. And so she had an accident. My sister knows how to use the restroom, and she knows to ask when she needs to go to the restroom. But because they weren't within earshot, which they are supposed to be, again, to protect these kids, she had an accident.
Like, the fact that this happened, as brutal as it is, as infuriating as it is, as just alarming as it is, was not a shock to anyone paying attention.
Mm-hmm. And so we waited for the
Your mother
same.
literally tried to warn them. I mean,
tried over and over, had meetings with the teacher, had multiple phone calls with the head of the special ed, and they blew her off. They didn't care. They wanted to take the laziest and easiest route possible with their job, and that's what they did.
Okay.
But
so what happened to Janie in that bathroom? And if there's parts of it you don't want to share, that's okay. As much as I don't want to go there, I kind of want to go there because I just want to get the audience to get a sense of how brutal this was for her. Because we're not just talking like he kissed her and like maybe did, an inappropriate reach around. He went like full out.
So when the same nurse got there, she had to do a questionnaire, which we were not allowed to be in the room with her for that. That wasn't anybody's decision. That's just the way that they do these exams. And the same nurse was wonderful. She knew that she wasn't like her peers that were her same age. And, she talked to her about her pets and what animals she liked and stuff like that. But she had to do the questionnaire. And then for the physical examination, we were allowed to go in. At first, all she wanted was my mom. And then later on, she asked me to come in as well. We left it up to my sister, who she wanted in there. But while they were doing the exam, the sane nurse was dusting her skin everywhere that this boy had touched her. Her arms, her wrists, where he had pinned her up against the wall. Her mouth, because he had smothered her. Her neck, because my sister told her that he had strangled her. And she had to take pictures of everything and measure everything. She had to take pictures of her genitals and her anus because there was bleeding and tearing and bruising. The same nurse told my mom, I don't know how far he penetrated her anally, but he did. And there was bruising there as well as vaginally. She had to swab everything to test for STDs. He raped her vaginally and anally, strangled her, smothered her, pinned her down. We found out later on, through my mom sitting through counseling with her, that he had tried to perform oral sex on her. And my sister thought he was a zombie because she didn't know what that was. He tried to force her to perform oral sex on him. Violated her in every way possible. She wasn't gone for 5 minutes. She wasn't gone for 10 minutes. Stuff like this doesn't happen in the length of an average bathroom break. And if another student hadn't heard her and gone for help, I don't know if my sister would be alive.
Tell us more about that.
We were told that a witness alerted police and that she had heard her crying and saying, "No, stop, help."
What you're supposed to say when you're being
And
what any other person likely would say when they're being violated, not when they're consenting.
And this boy had threatened someone that I know's child. He had threatened to kill her, and he was told to write an apology note to that girl.
Oh, I'm sure that helped.
He had threatened other girls that had turned down his advances. He had sent inappropriate emails to another child.
Now, the school likes to paint him as someone that's much younger. What's the age difference between them?
He is 2 years younger than her.
And does he have special needs as well? And are they the same as hers? That we know.
No, they're not.
Okay.
As far as I know, no, they're not the same as hers. She would never think to threaten to kill somebody. She didn't know what sex was. She is like a child. He is like a predator. Whether he has disabilities or not, they won't release his diagnosis to me. They won't even officially release his name.
For obvious reasons. But that I don't say that to protect him in any way. I say that because there are some legal issues here, which is why I don't even know his name, y'all. I don't know his name, therefore I'm not accusing anyone because I'm not speaking of anyone specifically. I don't know this person. Don't know his name. Don't know him from Adam. So this can be John Doe. Now, John, as I'll refer to him, clearly John has some experience with sex, whether it's watching or, God forbid, he was, someone did this to him, as is often the case. He knew about sex. Janie didn't. But John knew about violent, penetrative sex, multiple ways. I'll just be honest with you. I didn't know about that at 16 years old. I was very, very naive at that. Even though I was sexually abused, I didn't know about all these different methods of sex. I didn't realize I was sexually abused until years later when I started processing in therapy. So the fact that
he knew how to be violent with people and how to hurt them.
There you go. Where did that come from? Because statistically speaking, most folks with special needs or even mental health issues are not perpetrators. They're victims. So the fact that the school, and again, I will read the statement in post-production. It'll be at the end of the episode because I really want my audience to hear how just atrocious this is and how whoever wrote that, I truly don't know how they sleep at night. Like, it was infuriating reading. Now, they're painting him as being underage. It was just an incident. They paint him as just almost being innocent, like dipping his toes in the water, but not taking a full swim, which it's obviously...
To me, they were trying, in my opinion, in that letter, they were trying to paint him as the victim here.
Yes.
He is just the poor minor student, and she's the adult female.
She's the adult. Now, legally, can a girl with special needs, can she consent to sex legally?
No, she doesn't have the mental capacity. I mean, if she wanted to sign a contract, she doesn't have the mental capacity to sign a contract. There's no way she has the mental capacity to consent to sex, especially not knowing what it was. And even if she did, she said no.
Exactly, as evidenced by the person that hurt her in the hallway.
She said stop.
People that are consenting don't typically say stop. They're not typically crying. At least none of the people I know.
They're not bleeding anally and vaginally. Because I am a very sex positive person.
I mean,
but
y'all, this isn't sex, y'all. This is abuse. Like, this is abuse, flat out.
Yep.
There's a big difference. I mean, obviously, this is a sexual act, but it's a sexual act of abuse.
Sexual violence.
Definitely sexual violence. And almost always acts like this are not about sex, y'all. They're about power. And they're about getting power from who the assailant feels is like the lowest on the totem pole. And if this is the kind of sexual deviant, I can't think of a better word. You said it earlier, but my brain is just, I'm blonde, honey, don't judge. But
You're fine.
Predator is the word I'm looking for. Usually sexual predators, they're not interested in the sex. The sex is it's ancillary. What they're interested in is the power, it's the defiling, it's the abuse, it's the painful penetration, it's the moans, it's all the worst parts of a sex act is typically what they're attracted to. And I doubt her gender even played a role for him. I think he was looking for the lowest person that he felt on the totem pole that he could abuse and get away with it. And so far, he is.
Yep. And what Alvin High School and their staff seems to fail to realize is that he's not going to be in high school much longer.
Okay.
And he's going to be looking for his victims in the Targets that they're frequenting, in the Starbucks that they're frequenting, in the little boutiques that they're frequenting.
And guess what, y'all? God forbid he does it again. The victim in that case, once he's an adult and out on his own, the victim is going to come back to this family and say, look, they warned you and you didn't do shit. Pardon my language, but you didn't do shit. So guess what? You knew he was a predator. It's like the scene in Jaws, and I don't mean to trivialize it, but like there were obviously in the movie Jaws, like she says, you knew there was a shark out there and you did nothing. You said nothing. You left the beach open. Y'all, if he's a true predator like we both feel he is, he's going to target someone again.
Especially with the slap on the wrist he got.
Yes. And especially, like, not even a slap on the wrist. It's almost like they're encouraging it. Oh, you poor thing. She obviously asked you to rape her. I mean, that's basically what they're saying. So whoever is done to it, whoever, God forbid it happens again, which statistics say it will. That victim and that baby, she's going to have a huge lawsuit. She or he or they are going to have a huge lawsuit on their hands because you've been out there for months now. Okay, let's play. Oh, damn, this interview's gone fast. I typically do an hour. We've got like 12 minutes left.
If we would need to do a part 2, we could always do.
We may have to, but I kind of want to play. I want to start playing devil's advocate here because we're going to get we've gotten a lot of questions. So we'll kind of do a speed round here. So the case was presented to a grand jury, and the grand jury declined to prosecute.
Yes, they no-billed it. From what my mom was told from the DA's office, the principal submitted papers saying that this is part of his disability and he cannot control himself.
So he gets off on a technicality.
Yes. Now we can't deny or prove that because we haven't been allowed to see the grand jury proceedings because they're private. But that's what we were told by someone at the DA's office.
But y'all, audience, go down that rabbit hole. Go look into grand juries in Alvin. Go look into grand juries in Texas and see how fair they are. They're not. So for those that are asking, well, why did she call the cops? She did. They've done all their due diligence.
The cops called her.
I mean,
she didn't even have to call them. The cops called her. They made the accusation.
So the cops did their job.
No.
You say that? No.
No, they were looking to blame her from the second that we started.
Okay, so odds are what was in that grand jury presentation was the cops excusing it. That's what we're feeling. Okay. I mean, it makes sense if you want to put yourself in that dark-minded mindset. If you want folks in Alvin to continue getting away with sexual abuse, pedophilia, racism. Y'all, Alvin is not a good town. I'm sorry if I lose followers in Alvin. I could give a shit. Y'all, look up the history of Alvin, Texas. Alvin is a former sundown town. whose motto is literally a bridge to the future, looking at the past, or like, it's just, they're practically
Honoring
rubbing
the past, looking to the future, or
Yeah,
something
I
like
mean,
that.
come on, y'all. There's not a single male on their city council. I mean, I'm sorry, not a single female on their city council. There's no representation in this town. And they're mostly white, and I think there's like one, maybe Mexican. I don't know. He's brown, but I don't claim him. I'm just saying. But y'all, okay. So there's that. Now, okay, what else has folks been asking? Why did it? Okay, here's the question I get a lot. Why did it take so long for y'all to come out about the case?
We didn't want to come out. We're not doing this to be TikTok famous or Twitter famous or social media famous. This is painful and personal and horrific to have to relive over and over and over. It was never in the plan. But when nothing was done, we couldn't sit by and not say anything. We have to demand justice.
So
if they're not going to give it to us, we're going to fight for it.
Absolutely. So would it be fair to say you were giving the proper authorities time to do the right thing? Because this happened last December?
November.
Last November. Okay, so last winter, the assault happened, and you were giving the proper channels time to do their investigation, get all their ducks in a row, present it to a grand jury, and then ultimately the grand jury no bill. Y'all, that time frame is not unusual. That's not.
And the principal, Karen Taylor, I'm going to name drop her because
she's the principal.
I'm not going to say what I really think of her right now, but
you're welcome to. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
She told us not to tell anyone. She told us to keep it on the down low.
What do you think her reasoning for that was?
She didn't want the shitstorm. The shitstorm that she has received bad enough at this point to delete her Facebook account several times.
I mean, when you got nothing to hide, you hide everything, right? Baby, I don't wish anything bad on Karen Taylor. I don't personally know Karen Taylor, but I tell you what, there's a special place in hell for anyone that would try and cover this up and not be on the side of a special needs girl who literally was sexually assaulted brutally in a high school bathroom of a high school that you're supposed to manage. Like, these kids are under your care. Their parents send them there to be safe, to learn. I forget what title is that gets all the funding, particularly for special needs folks. But y'all, you get all these government funds and government grants to make the school especially safe for those with special needs. This is what you do with those funds. And then you go out of your way to make the family's life a living hell simply for trying to get justice? Yeah, so what? The grand jury no billed. Okay, I get that. The grand jury's got to live with that. That's pretty effed up. But we don't know what they were presented. We don't know what they were told. They could have been told, oh, this girl walked in wearing something skimpy. And, it's Alvin, Texas, y'all. They already wanted to blame her from the jump. So I don't imagine that their report was like, oh, this poor young woman. I don't imagine it was like that at all. And if you notice statistics in Alvin, for whatever reason, most crimes are going down over the past. I sent you this. Most crimes over the past decade have gone down, with the exception of rape.
Yep.
That one's going up. Why? Could it be that folks know that in the town of Alvin, you can rape people, especially those with special needs, and get away with it? Could it be? Yep. Who can say? I don't know. I'm not a psychic or anything, except I am. Sorry, I'm getting frustrated up here with you. Now, okay, so it took that amount of time. I just want to, because this part I'm going to put on TikTok like instantly. So it took that long for y'all to come out in the press about it because A, you don't want to re-traumatize your sister who has special needs. You don't want to risk your safety because that's already happened. You don't want her name leaking to the press, which has already happened. All these things, y'all, they did to protect their family, and most specifically to protect Janie. She's been through enough. Janie is not her name, in case y'all haven't figured that out. Janie is a pseudonym because folks who are sexually assaulted like this, especially young women, especially those with special needs, we don't put their names out there. They don't need to be re-traumatized like the families currently getting re-traumatized simply for trying to get changes. Now, maybe Alvin wants to say that, well, the grand jury no billed, but that doesn't mean they can't change policies at the fucking school. Forget my language. Change policies at the school. Like, they still have things they can do. What would you say that they've done?
Nothing. They gave the boy a 3-day suspension.
Oh, but didn't the letter contradict that?
Because it was too difficult. It was too difficult to expel him.
Difficult.
It was too difficult. She'd have to find another school for him to go to. A special school for him to go to.
Yes, because they're getting so much in government funding to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford to lose him because he's...
But they could afford those tens of millions of dollars stadiums.
I mean, girl... Y'all, this is a high school where I believe, okay, I'll just say one of the coaches. I think he was a football coach, but I don't remember. Literally openly using the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
And teacher after teacher sexually assaulting students.
Yes.
Dozens of them. Dozens.
Y'all, do your own homework. It doesn't take a rocket science. It doesn't take a TikToker to do it. Like, you can literally go Google Alvin, Texas. You'll find some pretty disgusting things, both in the school and in the communities, which I imagine the grand jury would be comprised of.
Yep.
It doesn't shock me that the grand jury would no-bill this. Hell, a grand jury in Houston literally no-billed Arlene Alvarez's killer because he got robbed for $20. Okay. I mean, there are some evil people serving on these grand juries. Evil people. Dark people. And I mean that spiritually, not skin color. What do you want from here forward? What do you want? Like, what? Yeah, answer that and then we'll go on.
I want the staff that is responsible for this to be terminated. I also want Karen Taylor to be terminated because of her lack of action and victim blaming my sister. I want the male student to be expelled, and I want it to be confirmed that he's expelled. I don't trust them as far as I could throw them.
I don't blame you.
I want there to be changes. I want there to be policies put in place that no girl with disabilities in the special ed classes is allowed to wander by herself and not be looked for a long period of time. I don't want any girl from the special ed classes to be wandering around by herself, period.
Is that already a policy? Do we know that for sure?
I don't know that for sure. I'd have to look in the student handbook, but
the reason I ask, because if it is Alvin, Texas, maybe, or Alvin High School, maybe have a zero tolerance policy that if the staff is not tending to those with special needs, like, there's zero tolerance. Like, if they're caught slipping, bye.
I want there to be a zero tolerance policy for these people to be on their phones. You are with the most vulnerable students in the school, and you're texting, you're posting selfies on Facebook. If you look at this paraprofessional's Facebook, there is selfie after selfie after selfie after selfie at that school. Get off your phone and watch these damn kids.
I mean,
protect these damn kids, because how would you feel if it was you?
Say that again.
How would you feel? How would you feel if it was your daughter, your sister, your cousin? Because it could be.
How would you feel if you walked in to see your sister with special needs who doesn't know sex from anything else, blaming herself after another male another male student literally sodomized her, raped her, smothered her, and had her screaming in the bathroom? How would you feel after hearing her blame herself? How would you feel?
After having her grip your hand while a nurse is swabbing her anus and seeing the fear in her eyes.
How is she today?
Different. She's scared now, and not in a typical way, but in a way where when we go out, she's glued to a family member's side, literally glued to, gripping onto. she's quieter. I feel like her speech has been affected by this. She had a seizure several months ago. And her counselor said that that could be a trauma thing. You know, it isn't 100% clear, but she had never had a seizure before this. It could also be because of the HIV preventative that she had to take, because that was a very harsh drug. She had to take Zofran to keep her from vomiting while she was taking this drug. That's how harsh it is on your system.
Don't know is, those HIV drugs, especially like the oh damn it, what's it called?
It's like a post exposure or something like that.
Exposure prophylaxis.
Yep.
Yeah, y'all, they're not easy drugs. They're not easy drugs to take. I'm a member of the gay community. I've taken some several times. They're not easy. It's one pill that contains a ton of medications, y'all. They're not easy on your stomach. They're bad for your bones. Like, these aren't easy drugs to take.
She had to take several antibiotics in case of gonorrhea or chlamydia. You know, she's not the same.
Do you think she's in her head more now?
Yes. And she doesn't quite view the world the same as she did before this. There isn't that just untouched trust that she had in the world. She lost a little bit of magic.
Well, I pray, I hope and pray that she gets it back. What do you want? What do you want the Justice for Janie movement to be? Assuming Janie eventually gets justice, because I pray with all that I can find to pray that she does. What do you want the legacy of this experience to be?
I would like for Justice for Janie to keep going after my sister gets justice. And I'm not going to say if, because I'm going to manifest the shit out of it.
Yes. You can claim it.
But I want it to keep going. I want us to help other victims in high schools across the state. I want to lobby for change at the governor's office.
Amen.
You know, you hear about sexual assaults in colleges, but you don't really hear about them in high schools all that often. And it happens a lot more than people think.
I'll share this with you real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I wanna fight for other students, male, female, non-binary, that are sexually assaulted in schools. I want to be the voice for them.
Amen. Amen. What frustrates me about your case specifically is I covered a case last night, and this isn't to blame that child at all. What happened to this child is equally horrific. Or maybe not equally, but it's horrific. So a young special needs boy of color literally had his arm broken by his teacher. Special needs. He was acting as irritable as sometimes special needs children can be. And supposedly it was too much for her. So she broke his arm. She called his mom to say, oh, his arm is broken. Not I broke it, but his arm is broken, as if he did it to himself. They took him to the school nurse. School nurse says, oh, his arm is fine. Mom knows something is up because you could literally see in the picture, his arm is not fine.
Oh my God.
Take him to the ER. His arm is broken in 4 different places.
Oh my God.
And that's horrific. That's horrific. But teacher was fired today. Just happened yesterday. Teacher's fired today. That's what should have happened to Jake.
That's what should have happened immediately. And you know, the thing is, if the principal had done the right thing, suspended, terminated,
you wouldn't
have gone after her. We wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be talking to you.
Nope.
And y'all, the reason why we need this case to blow up on social media, the reason why we need views is because they're trying to sweep it under the rug like they did 10 years ago. And if you know anything about me, you know that I've literally been fighting for justice for my brother for the past 35 years. which is why I'm not letting up on Houston this time, because it's happened again. And I refuse. Like, even if it costs me my life, I refuse to let up. I see equal dedication with Janie's family. I don't know why it's like backwards, but anyways, I see equal dedication with Janie's family. They're not willing. Like, how much is, and to my audience, how much is your daughter's innocence worth? And, oh, okay. Let's bring one thing up and then I'll close. Let's bring up old Jason Jones, since he decided to insert himself into this. He's my favorite person, y'all. I absolutely love him. What did it feel like reading that op-ed written by someone you don't know? Am I correct in saying that?
Mm-hmm.
What did it feel like reading that after everything your family has been through?
It felt like a slap in the face because he never reached out for us. He actually joined the Justice for Janie movement 3 months ago and has been spying this whole time. And instead of reaching out to anyone, any of the mods or admins or anyone else, he just took it upon himself to write his article. It felt like a slap in the face.
He literally accuses y'all of trying to, get rich off of, because y'all looking for a lawyer. I mean, how does that feel when someone literally accuses you of trying to get rich off of your sister's loss of innocence and her sexual assault?
There isn't enough money in the world to make this okay.
And y'all, I will state for the record that Jason Jones was employed with the Locke Law Firm. I can't state that we had anything to do with that, but he no longer is. Baby, as Aunt Karen says, the devil works hard, but we work harder. Love you, Aunt Karen.
Sucks to suck, Jason.
I mean, well, no, and if you're, baby, I don't know, speak for yourself, girl. Anyways, I'm just being a perv, y'all, for those that can't see the YouTube. Go watch it on YouTube. Okay, so what do you want to end with? What is your final statement? Like, your Jerry Springer, this your final statement.
I want to change, and I want someone to take some fucking action. Do the right thing. You've had almost a year.
And Jason Jones, cállate, wey, as we say where I come from. Hush your mouth, boy.
Yep.
All right, honey. I love you so much. Thank you for sharing this hour with me. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I will reach out to you afterwards, and we can just kind of go over some things for post-production. I will pop this up and put pieces of it on TikTok now or within the next hour. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and then I'm almost...
More than 6 months had passed. Janie's family had been through hell and back several times and hadn't received a second of media coverage until...
Hey, y'all, Uncle Paul here, and I need all hands on deck here.
At first, Houston local media wouldn't return their calls, but Janie's family refused to give up. They got the attention of TikTok's Uncle Paul, who told her story in a way that inspired other creators, with followings in the millions, to tell her story too, giving the family national coverage and circulating the story right back to local media, who was now interested in the story that was going viral on TikTok.
This has been weighing on me exponentially, and I feel like this is something that I need to do, and I need to make this video. As a mother of a special needs daughter as well, and as a fellow SA survivor, I think that's why this has affected me the way that it has.
When we read Janie's story in our community Facebook group, we were completely moved by this girl's experience. We felt very deeply for her, and we wanted to help her mother and her sister and her family because we felt deeply for them as well. So,
because none of us deserve this. My incident was small compared to this.
So there's a known rapist at Alvin High School on the loose, and teachers have yet to do nothing about it.
Guys, I need everybody's help spread this far and wide. A family in Texas is begging for help for their daughter. Oh yeah, the principal's husband is one of the police detectives. In my link tree, I made an email generator to send to the Attorney General's office. Let's flood them and share this.
Here's the thing. This happened in Alvin, Texas, and this doesn't seem to be an isolated incident. This seems to be an ongoing problem because it's happened before. In 2011, a mother sued the Alvin School District over her daughter being SA'd in school. And if the children being preyed upon by other students wasn't bad enough, 2017, you had a former science teacher and coach who received 30 years in prison for SAing a student. And in 2020, this lawsuit against the school district. filed by the parents of a 6th grade girl who suffered prolonged SA at the hands of a school police officer. All under the watch of Alvin ISD. And as bad as that is, expect an update because I'm talking to someone right now who thinks they have found much worse.
So what has Alvin ISD said about all of this?
I'm going to go ahead and read their statement now, and I want to make it noted that this statement came July 27th, 2022. Janie was assaulted November 5th of 2021. And in that time, they never said a word. They never alerted other parents that there was a danger at the school. Alvin ISD is deeply committed to the safety and well-being of each one of our students. The district has recently received questions from parents and families about the district's response to a matter that took place in the fall of 2021. Alvin ISD leadership acknowledges that an event involving 2 students occurred that is inconsistent with student behavior, expectations, and values we maintain. So I want to stop for a moment and point out that this is a question people ask often, if the school district is acknowledging this, if they're denying it. So here they do acknowledge the incident, but they call it an incident instead of calling it what it is, which is a very violent sexual assault. The district communicated with the families of the involved students, and we continue to affirm our desire to offer support and provide active partnership focused on ensuring that our students are supported in a way that helps them achieve their maximum potential. Janie's family will show you that there is very little communication between the district and her family. They did not reach out and check on Janie. They didn't call to see if she was okay. They didn't offer support. They didn't even offer the use of an advocate as required by law. In the state of Texas, school districts are required to provide access to a sexual assault advocate for victims of assault that take place on their campuses. And they did not do this. And that is just one of the things that they have violated. And the male student, as they refer to him in this statement, his family will also tell you that they did not reach out. They didn't talk to them. They have been very hush-hush. They have kept every piece of documentation away from them. Neither family has ever received a police report or an incident report. They've never received updates or anything else. The district, however, vehemently denies many of the accusations and characterizations being shared on various social media pages. Due to the sensitive nature of the matter and the involvement of a minor, to this point, Alvin ISD has limited our remarks to a short statement provided to media outlets when requested. I want to say again that Alvin ISD has very little transparency, and the fact that they did not say anything to the public at all until news outlets came to ask questions is very suspicious to me. With the understanding that the continued accusations are causing concern for other parents and families, we feel it is important to provide a bit of insight into the district's response and thoroughness of actions. However, we remain bound by the limitations of special education laws and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. At approximately noon on November 5th, 2021, a Crime Stoppers tip was received from a student relating to an event that occurred in a bathroom. Upon receipt of that tip, a thorough investigation was initiated by Alvin High School administrative team. At 12:27, the Alvin ISD Police Department, which serves as a fully functioning and licensed law enforcement agency in the state of Texas, was notified. After further investigation, at 1:10 p.m., the minor male subject was identified and interviewed. During the interview, the male identified the adult female student. At 1:33 p.m., the female was interviewed by an Alvin ISD police officer with another Alvin ISD staff member present as well. The school nurse examined the female, and her mother was notified. Upon her arrival, the Alvin ISD police officer asked permission to search the phone of the female student. The sister of the female, who arrived with the mother, unlocked the phone for the police to review. I want to stop for a moment and make note that there are a few false statements already. It was not a Crime Stoppers tip that was reported. It was an eyewitness student who came to get help for Janie. That student went to the bathroom and heard Janie screaming for help, screaming, "No, please stop, no." And they went to get Janie help. That is not the same thing as a Crime Stoppers tip, and that is according to their staff. I also believe that it is misleading for them to say that they interviewed Janie, because what they did is interrogate her. They were very rough, they were very harsh, they were very unfriendly with her, and being that she has a disability and her disability does render her to have very childlike innocence, it was a very scary situation for her. She was very intimidated, and she felt very upset and scared by the police officer asking her if she had done that on purpose, if she had consented, if she had wanted it, and other very hurtful, scary things for a little girl to hear. It is also interesting that they confess in their statement to allowing that interrogation and allowing a school nurse who is not a SANE nurse, is not certified or qualified to make these examinations, to examine Janie before calling her mother. If they were worried about Janie's safety, they could have called an ambulance while notifying her mother, and they could have also called Janie's mother before they interrogated her without her presence or permission, especially considering that she has a cognitive disability. I feel that it is very sketchy, very shady, and very gross business practice of them on their side to interrogate her without her mother present. That is the equivalent of interrogating a 6-year-old without her mom present. Officer Osmond also, yes, he did ask Janie's sister to unlock her phone, but they left out that he asked her to unlock the phone because he wanted to find out if she had texted him anything encouraging him to commit sexual acts on her. Janie's text messages are actually full of unicorn emojis and smiley faces. She does not have the cognitive ability or the mental personality to be reaching out to boys and encouraging them to commit sexual assault on her. And even if she did, it would not be possible for her to give consent because of her cognitive state. The Alvin ISD Police Department concluded their investigation and filed charges with the District Attorney's Office, supported by a 49-page police report that was provided to the Brazoria County District Attorney as part of a 104-page comprehensive document. That police report, that 49 pages, or the 104-page comprehensive document that they provided to the county, never found its way to the family. Although they are legally allowed to have access to that, neither of those families ever received that. In fact, the male student's family members, his mother says that she didn't even know that the police investigation was happening because she was told something completely different. Beyond our internal investigation, Alvin ISD immediately notified Texas Child Protective Services, which is CPS, and received a case number. They make sure to state this because Janie's mother has repeatedly insisted that whenever they called CPS, when Janie's mother called CPS, they had no idea that this had happened. No investigation had been opened. No case number was established. No history of a report had taken place. Additionally, student discipline was given in accordance with the law, and the male student will not return to campus. This is also misleading and false and dishonest of them because they are trying to make it sound like they made sure that the student would not be attending as if it were a response to his actions. If they disciplined the student, they are admitting that he did something wrong. If they felt the need to say that he would not be returning to campus and that that was in accordance with the law of his offense, that would be implying a very big offense. In reality, they told Janie's mother that he would be suspended for 3 days. Apparently, in December, they made it very clear. Now, they claimed to have suspended him for 3 days, and they told his mother that it was because he was in a girl's bathroom. So that is why the law did not allow them to do more. Yet, in their statement, they're implying that they did something much more severe for consequences.
When they're not making the nightly news, they're brainstorming other ways to keep Janie's story prominent, including showing up at local school board meetings, as you're about to see. Pay close attention to the school board members pretending like they weren't even there.
Good evening. I'm sorry that I have to talk to you in this forum because I should have been reached out to about the sexual assault of my daughter with disabilities. Not one of you picked up a phone, sent a letter, checked on her. Not one of you. You knew there was a problem. This happened before. You knew. The bathroom for children with disabilities was broken for 4 days. And whereas your principal, Karen Taylor, stressed that everybody did everything right, why couldn't one person out of 6, the 3 that were in charge of the boys' class and the 3 that were in charge of her class, not one of them got off their rear end to watch either one of these kids. They knew that boy was violent. They knew it. They knew he was emotionally disturbed. Since the beginning of the school year started, I was calling Amy Huey, Erin, whatever her name is now, and telling her, this teacher is drowning. He doesn't know what he's doing. He was deaf. He had a severe speech impediment. He had no experience and no training and no mentoring whatsoever. Since the second week of school, I was telling her, someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get hurt. And to send that letter, that mass email, 8-9 months later, saying the adult who took the child in the bathroom. Have you met my daughter? She has the capacity of a 5 to a 6-year-old. How dare you? You did nothing. Nothing. He confessed. The school called me and said this. I'm not accusing him. The school called. The school called the SANE nurse. And you know what? The SANE nurse found tearing, bruising, bleeding. The SANE nurse told me that she was sodomized, not your police who knew. The police knew this kid targeted her like a predator. Because the day that I was on the phone with Amy Huey, he molested her. They knew it and didn't tell me. I found out through counseling. I've gotten nothing from the school. The school didn't move my daughter. My daughter had to take medication for AIDS because it's against the rapist right. And you got the rapist still in school with that slap on the wrist. You think he won't do it again? Hello? He already threatened another girl. And he had to write a letter of apology. You need to change. You need to make that campus safe for all girls, and especially children with disabilities. Clean house. Get ethical people. Stop the nepotism. It's disgusting and offensive.
I'm here to talk about the disabled girl that was raped at Alvin High School in November of 2021. This happened at school, during school hours, and none of the staff went to look for her. Not the paraprofessionals, Laura K. Adele and Juliana Kotlarov, not the teacher, William Dean. No one went to look for her while she was being raped and strangled and sodomized and smothered and crying for help. None of you had to go into that exam room with her while she was being examined by a SANE nurse and gripping my hand and crying. Y'all didn't see the fear in her eyes. And nothing has been done to punish the staff that is responsible for this. There have been no terminations. There have been no suspensions. The boy that raped her was allowed to return to school 3 days later. 3 days. I got longer suspensions when I was in high school for wearing clothes that were inappropriate and not attending the detentions that I was given for that. Y'all are setting a dangerous precedent, saying that it's okay for male students to do what they want to your female students. The hallways are not safe. I want to know why. I want to know what you're going to do to support Janie. I want to know what you're going to do to punish the staff that was responsible for this. The staff that blamed her and shamed her. I want to know why the staff has been allowed to send their family members
to attack her and expose her online, even though it is very obvious that a pseudonym has been used to protect her identity. Even though that's a violation of FERPA, I want to know what the school district and what the board is going to do to ensure that this doesn't ever happen again, like it happened in 2011 and then 10 years later in 2021. I want there to be changes. I want to know that my children are safe in Alvin ISD if they have to attend there. I want the staff to be punished. I want terminations made. I want it now. This can't continue to be ignored. I will show up to every board meeting if I have to. This has to change.
Next, we have our presentation.
Janie could be your special needs sister or daughter or classmate. Left unsupervised, left vulnerable to the predator that in a moment stole the very thing that makes Janie, Janie, her innocence. Alvin ISD may think that ignoring the family will make the case disappear. Instead, it's building Janie's army, girls and women all over the country who see themselves in Janie.
We have had over 75 people come forward since the day Janie's family decided to make it public what had happened to her. Over 75 people have come to tell us that they reported their sexual assaults to their teachers, to their principals, to the police officers on campus. Over 75 kids have been turned away, mistreated, blamed for what they've done, threatened, intimidated, scared. Over 75 times, someone who did the crime is walking away and being let off without any consequences. Whenever news stations in the area started picking up her story and interviewing the family, they were finally faced with thousands of phone calls from people around the country who were so angry on Janie's behalf, and I think a lot of other people who were also victims were reaching out to on behalf of Janie because they understood her feelings and they understood what it's like to be victimized, especially at school, by the people who are supposed to keep you safe and protect you.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie. I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I'm Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie. I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie. I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie. I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
I am Janie.
Justice for Janie is justice for every single student of Alvin Independent School District who has ever been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed by another student or a teacher or a custodian or principal. Justice for Janie is justice for every student who's ever been too afraid to tell on horrific attackers. Justice for Janie is justice for every student who did tell her attackers and was turned away, ostracized, or mocked for what had happened to them. Justice for Janie is justice for a little disabled girl who was happy every day to go to school, only to have her teacher and her paras sit at their desks like they were too tired or too uninterested to escort her to the restroom and sent her out into the hallways alone without anyone to keep her safe. Justice for Janie is justice for that sweet little girl who loves unicorns and Frozen and cartoons and sparkles and is so ecstatic to see all the people on her side because she felt bad for so long because those police officers were making her feel bad, who talked to her like this was her fault. Justice for Janie is justice for that little girl who had to endure the most traumatizing nurse exam in the world, who had to go through something that is too hard for so many adults, so many children, so many people, so many professionals to go through. And she had to go through it, not even understanding what's happening to her. Justice for Janie is justice that we will not stop fighting for. In Alvin Independent School District, all those lies, secrets, and mistruths, they will come to light.
I am Janie. Thank you for being my voice.